The thief in the moonlight. The moon hung low and full over the quiet countryside. John was in bed, the warm blanket pulled to his chest. It had been a long day working on his farm, and sleep came quickly until he heard something outside. Rustle. He opened his eyes. At first he thought it was wind or a raccoon, but the sound came again, this time sharper. Someone was moving through his garden, slowly, quietly, like a thief. John grabbed the flashlight beside his bed and slipped on his boots. The air was cold as he stepped out. He didn't bother with a coat. He just wanted to catch whoever was stealing from him. This was the third time this month. He walked carefully, his steps crunching the dry grass. The beam of his flashlight cut through the dark. It moved across the fence, the old shed, the tall rows of corn, then stopped. There, by the tomatoes. Small figure crouched low, digging with bare hands. Long, thin arms. Pale, bluish skin that shimmered under the moonlight. Not human. John froze. The figure heard him. It turned fast. Big eyes glowing faint violet. Thin lips. A sharp nose. Her body was covered in a loose, torn cloth. She looked young, but tired. And terrified. John raised the flashlight higher. "Who are you?" She gasped and backed away. In her arms, she clutched 2 tomatoes and a half-bitten carrot. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft, broken, and heavy with an alien accent. "Please, don't hurt. My children, hungry, no food. Please." John didn't move. He wasn't sure if he was dreaming or going crazy. Then, from behind the bushes, he saw 2 smaller shapes. Children, just as strange-looking, small, thin, eyes too big for their faces. One wore a brown cloak that barely covered his body. The other was wrapped in what looked like a cut-up curtain. They stared at him not with fear but hope. John's heart sank. She was a mother. I didn't want to steal," she whispered, shaking. "I looked many places, forests, dead. No animal, no plant, but your garden." She lowered her head. "Forgive." For a long moment, silence. Only the wind and the sound of crickets filled the air. John lowered the flashlight. He looked at her feet, bleeding, her arms covered in cuts. The kids looked worse. One was coughing. The other held his belly like he was too hungry to even cry. John sighed. He wasn't sure what to say. What could he say? This wasn't a normal night. This wasn't a normal thief. "Come inside," he finally said. His voice was low, steady. "You need food and warmth." The woman stared at him, unsure if she heard right. "Inside? Your home?" John nodded. "Yes, you and your kids, I won't hurt you." She hesitated. Then slowly, she walked forward. The children followed her like shadows. John opened his door and let them in. Inside, the cabin was warm and simple. Wooden floors, an old couch, a stove that still burned from dinner. John motioned for them to sit. They huddled near the heat like cats finding sun. He pulled out bread, soup, and leftover stew from the fridge. As they ate, their hands shook. The children devoured the bread like they hadn't eaten in days. John watched quietly. So many questions in his mind. "Who are you?" he finally asked. The woman looked at him. "Arya," she said. "From... not here." "No kidding," John muttered under his breath. He pointed to the kids. She answered Luma, nodding at the girl. "And Ryan, the boy, where's your ship?" "Gone. Crashed. Far. I walk. Many sun cycles. You're the only ones left," she nodded. "Others, taken. Killed. We run, hide. We survive." John leaned back. This wasn't just a thief story. This was something bigger, something dangerous. But looking at their faces, he didn't feel fear. He felt something else. Responsibility. Arya finished the last bite of soup and looked at him. You are kind. Why? John shrugged. You're a mother. They're kids. Hungry. I couldn't turn you away. She lowered her eyes. Thank you. Human. He chuckled softly. Name's John. Outside, the wind howled softly. The garden lay silent under the moon. But inside, something had changed. The thief was no longer a stranger, and John's quiet life was about to become something he never imagined. Whispers of a Dying Star. The girl spoke first, not in words, but in song. At dawn, when the sky still held streaks of purple and gold, John found the little alien girl, Luma, standing barefoot in his field. Her face lifted toward the rising sun. Her mouth moved soft and slow, letting out a melody so strange and beautiful that it made the birds go quiet. John stopped in his tracks. A chill ran down his spine, not from fear, but wonder. The sound didn't belong to this world. It wasn't just music. It was memory, grief, hope, all tangled in a tune that only a soul broken by war could carry. Behind her, Ryan drew strange shapes in the dirt, symbols glowing faint blue, fading seconds after he made them. It looked like a lost language, vanishing as quickly as it was born. Inside the cabin, Arya stirred awake. Her eyes opened fast, alert, as if even in sleep, she was ready to run. She stepped outside and saw her children. They dreamt of home, she said quietly. John turned to her. That song, what is it? Arya stared at the sky. Our planet had 2 suns. When the first one died, the elders sang that melody. We believed if we sang, the second sun would stay, but it didn't. John swallowed hard. He'd seen war on Earth, but never like this. You lost your world? No, she said, her voice like cracked glass. We lost everything before. The world burned. Later that morning, John boiled some eggs and heated leftover stew. He placed food on the table, but Arya hesitated. Why? Help us. I told you, John replied, handing her a spoon. I'm not the kind of man who lets kids starve. No human would share this much, she said, her eyes narrow. Not without a price. John raised an eyebrow. What do you think I want? Shelter. Warmth. Protection, she listed. You give all without asking. That is dangerous. John folded his arms. Maybe I'm just stupid. She tilted her head. Or kind. But kindness is rare, and rare things are hunted. That line struck him. What do you mean? Arya leaned forward, whispering, They are close, the ones who follow me. They don't care if we are women or children. They come for blood. John's stomach tightened. What kind of people are we talking about? Not people, she said. Worse. That night, John couldn't sleep. He sat on his porch with his shotgun, staring at the dark fields. Somewhere, out there under the stars, something alien hunted the woman and her kids who now slept under his roof. He looked up at the sky. So peaceful, so distant. He wondered how many broken families drifted between those stars, how many Lumas and Ryans sang silent songs on dying worlds. Then a sound snapped him back. A branch cracked. He stood fast, shotgun raised. But it wasn't an enemy. It was Arya. She walked barefoot, quiet as a shadow, and sat beside him. You're watching. Someone has to, she nodded. You should run, John. He frowned. Not my style. You don't understand what's coming. Then tell me. She looked away, her voice shaking. I was once a soldier, a protector. I turned against my own people when I saw what they did, what they do to the weak. So they exiled me. I ran, I hid. I gave birth in hiding. And now, they come to erase what I chose to protect. John said nothing for a while. Then, he looked at her. You're not just some alien mother, he said. You're a rebel. She smiled, sad and tired. I'm a mother first. Before they went back inside, John asked, "How long do we have?" "2 nights, maybe less." "And your plan?" She looked up. "Hope someone like you would help." John nodded slowly. "Well," he said, standing up, "then I guess it's time I stopped being just a farmer." The black van and the red eyes. The dog barked first. Old Rex never barked at cars, but this time his growl started low and deep, like he smelled something wrong in the air. John stepped onto the porch with a mug of coffee, his shotgun resting by the door. The sun had barely touched the sky when he saw it. A black van crawling down the dirt road like a shadow with wheels. No license plate, tinted windows. Too clean for a country road. His gut twisted. He didn't need a badge or warning to know what. That van meant trouble had found them. Arya stood by the window inside, eyes sharp, body still. When she saw the van, she whispered a word in her language. One John didn't know, but he felt the fear behind it. She called the children. To the cellar, now. They obeyed without question. It wasn't the first time they had hidden from something that looked human, but wasn't. John opened the trapdoor hidden beneath the rug. It led to a small cellar he'd dug last summer to store potatoes, but now it held sleeping bags, canned food, and a strange device Arya had built from broken radios and glowing stones. As the children climbed down, Arya looked at John. "You don't have to stay." "Too late for that." She touched his hand for the first time. Just a second, but it spoke volumes. "Be careful," she said. Then she disappeared below, sealing the trapdoor. The van stopped at the end of the driveway. No one stepped out. No door opened. Just silence. Then, click, John saw it. A small red light blinking beneath the van's front bumper. "Scanner," he muttered. "They're searching for something." He walked toward it slowly, his shotgun hanging loose by his side. He didn't raise it. Not yet. Then the door opened. A tall man stepped out, except he wasn't quite a man. His face was pale, too smooth, his eyes were glowing red. And when he smiled, his teeth were all the same size, flat and sharp like a predator's. "Good morning, neighbor," the knot man said. "Lovely garden you've got." John stared. "Don't remember inviting guests." The man stepped closer. He wore a long coat, too clean, too perfect. "We're part of a new wildlife division. Heard rumors of strange animals around here. You seen anything?" John narrowed his eyes. "Plenty of raccoons. You want to check the trash bins?" The man chuckled, but it was cold. "Raccoons don't sing to stars." Silence. Then John did something risky. He smiled back. "Well, maybe yours do." The red-eyed man's smile faded. "We'll be watching." "I'll leave the porch light on," John replied, eyes hard. The van pulled away, but John didn't relax. As soon as it turned the corner, he rushed inside and opened the trap door. "They know," he said. "They're sniffing around, said something about animals singing." Arya's eyes widened. "They're echo hunters. They trace frequency memories, sounds, dreams, songs. Luma's song. It was too loud." John swore under his breath. "We need to move." "No," Arya said. "We need to hide better." She pulled out her strange device. It lit up, revealing a faint map. Digital, but old. She tapped a point. "There's an old station in the hills, long abandoned. It has shielding. If we reach there by nightfall, we vanish from their scans." John looked out the window. "We'll need supplies, food, fuel, and a miracle." Arya nodded. "You're human, you're good at miracles." Before sunset, they packed everything they could into John's truck. Blankets, food, tools, and whatever strange tech Arya had cobbled together. As they drove toward the hills, John saw something in his rearview mirror. A second van. No lights. Just following, he pressed the gas. Behind them, the red eyes glowed again. The broken road and the silent tower. The road ended long before it should have. 1 minute, the truck bounced along an old gravel path. The next, it disappeared beneath a mess of roots, rocks, and cracked earth. like nature itself tried to erase the road from existence. John slammed the brakes. The truck groaned, skidded, and came to a dusty stop inches from a deep sinkhole. "Great," he muttered. End of the road. Beside him, Arya stared into the trees. No. This is the beginning. They were still miles from the abandoned tower. The map Arya carried wasn't printed. It was etched into a glowing piece of crystal she wore around her neck, alien tech that flickered every time she passed beneath certain stars. According to her, the tower wasn't on any human map. It existed between frequencies where normal machines couldn't find it. A relic from a forgotten war, shielded, hidden, silent. But they had to get there before the Echo Hunters did. John opened the back of the truck. The kids were still asleep, bundled together in a blanket, their faces pale but peaceful. "We walk," Arya said, hoisting a pack onto her shoulder. "You sure it's safe?" She looked him in the eyes. "Nothing is safe anymore. But that tower, it's our last hope." The forest they entered felt wrong, too quiet, no birds, no wind, just the sound of footsteps on dead leaves and the occasional hum from Arya's tracker. Twice, John thought he saw a movement behind the trees, shadows that vanished when he looked straight at them. Once, Luma cried out in her sleep, whispering, something in her alien tongue. Rian clutched a small glowing stone and didn't speak at all. When John asked, Arya said simply, "He sees ghosts." "Ghosts?" "Echoes of memory," she explained. "In places like this, the past can whisper through time." John didn't argue. He just gripped his flashlight tighter. Hours passed. They climbed higher into the hills. The trees thinned. Fog rolled in, slow, heavy, silver gray. Then suddenly through the mist, a shape emerged. The tower. It stood crooked on a rocky cliff, made of black metal and stone, vines wrapped around its spine. Part of its roof had collapsed, but its base glowed, faintly with blue lines like veins carrying energy. John stared. "That thing's older than anything I've seen." "Built by exiles," Arya said. "Long ago, a place of silence. It rejects all signals. If we make it inside, they can't find us." "Can't or won't?" She looked down. "Maybe both." Inside, the air was cold and dry. Dust covered the floor. Broken consoles lined the walls. Strange symbols flickered across glass screens that hadn't been touched in years. Arya moved like she knew the place. This was once a listening station. My people used it to watch Earth and protect it. John raised a brow. "Protect? From what?" "From ourselves," she answered. While Arya worked on restarting the inner core, John checked the windows. That's when he saw it. Far below, near where the road had ended, 2 black vans sat parked in the mist. The Echo Hunters had found them. But they didn't rush forward, they just waited, watching, patient predators. John shut the curtain. "They're here." Arya's face tightened. "Then we must wake the tower." She pressed her hand against an ancient panel. A glow traveled up her arm like liquid light. The room hummed, and slowly, the floor beneath them lit up with pulses of energy. Blue lights, then red, then dark. Arya staggered. What happened? "They're blocking the tower," she gasped. "They've sent a counter-signal. If they jam the core completely, it will be locked inside with no protection." "What do we do?" She looked at John, her voice low. "We fight." Suddenly, the tower shook. Boom! Something struck the outer wall. Another boom. The kids screamed. Dust fell from the ceiling. John grabbed his shotgun. Arya pulled a small cube from her belt. It grew instantly into a shield of hard light, buzzing faintly. "They want the children," she said. "They'll burn this tower to the ground to get them." John looked at her. "Then we don't let them in." The siege beneath the stars. The stars blinked, then vanished. One by one, as if something unseen swallowed them from the sky. The night above the tower grew darker, thicker, alive. It wasn't clouds. It was a ship. A giant, silent shape hovered, just beyond the clouds, blacker than night, its edges glowing red like veins under skin. It didn't roar, it didn't shine. It simply existed, like a shadow waiting to fall. Inside the tower, John stared up through the cracked ceiling and whispered, "What the hell is that?" Arya didn't answer, because she knew, and she was afraid. "They've sent her," she said. "The Warden of Silence." John turned to her. "The what now?" Arya was already moving, fast, sliding a glowing panel open in the wall. "Not a soldier, not a scout. A purifier. She comes when they want to erase everything. No witnesses, no traces. She'll burn the tower, you, me, everything, just to capture the children." John gritted his teeth. "Then we make sure she doesn't get them." Outside, red beams scanned the tower walls like searching fingers. The air began to crackle. A low hum filled the bones of the building. The enemy wasn't just coming, they were already here, crawling closer in the dark like spiders hunting warmth. John, shotgun in hand, pushed a couch against the door. Not that it would stop much. Arya tossed him a cube. "Shield charge. 1 hit. Use it wisely." He nodded, catching it. "What about you?" She showed him her arm. Tiny alien shards began rising from her skin, like living armor building itself. "Piece by piece, I was trained for this," she said. "You weren't." John smirked. "I've got rage, a hammer, and a good reason. That's enough." Suddenly, boom, the front of the tower exploded inward. Smoke, fire, screams. Figures stepped through the dust, tall, armored, silent, faces hidden behind glass masks with wires that fed into their spines, eyes like glowing scars, red and unblinking. They didn't speak. They just moved. One stepped forward and vanished mid-step. A humming sound followed. Then Arya appeared behind where it had stood, her hand dripping with light, her eyes fierce. "John, go!" she shouted. "Take the kids to the signal room, send the flare." "But I'll hold them." John ran, down the old hallway, past sparks and failing lights, toward the back of the tower. The children followed close, Luma clinging to his coat, Ryan holding the strange blue crystal like a compass. Behind them, Arya fought like lightning, silent, fast, and glowing. But even she couldn't stop them all. The signal room was broken. Half the panels were shattered, but John didn't need to know alien tech because Ryan did. The boy stepped forward, placed the crystal on the floor, and began drawing glowing symbols around it with his finger. The walls lit up, holograms swirled. Then a sound filled the room. It wasn't human, it was a call, a beacon, a scream from a lost child to any stars that were still listening. Meanwhile, Arya was thrown across the room, her shield shattered. Blood, black and thick, spilled from her mouth. The Warden of Silence stepped through the fire. She was, not like the others, she was taller, wrapped in living metal. Her face was hidden behind a mask shaped like a screaming skull. "You betrayed your kind," the Warden hissed, "and now you hide behind a human." Arya spat blood. "No, I stand with a human." The Warden raised her hand. Arya closed her eyes. Then, boom. A shotgun blast tore through the air. John stood in the hallway, smoke rising from the barrel. "Back off, lady," he growled. The Warden turned. Her mask cracked slightly where the shot hit, but she didn't fall. Instead, she charged. John threw the shield cube. It expanded mid-air. Boom! A wall of light formed just in time, slamming her back into a console. John ran to Arya, lifted her up. "We're leaving. Now." "They won't stop," she whispered. He looked back. "I won't either." The beacon reached full power. From deep in the galaxy, someone heard. Above Earth, stars began blinking again, but this time they weren't disappearing. They were answering. The stars that answered the cry. The stars didn't twinkle, they moved. One by one, lights in the sky began shifting positions, too fast to be planets, too slow to be missiles. It was like the heavens were rearranging themselves in response to a whisper from Earth. Silent ships broke through the black veil of space, their hulls pulsing with gold and silver threads of energy, and they weren't just flying, they were listening. Inside the broken tower, Luma stood at the center of the beacon ring, her eyes wide, her mouth open. She was singing again, but it was different now. Not sad, not broken. It was a call, a summoning. John stood with his back against the signal room door, shotgun in hand, blood on his shirt. Behind him, Arya leaned on the wall, her arm scorched, her breathing shallow. Ryan sat beside his sister, holding her hand, staring at the glowing floor beneath them. Arya looked up, voice hoarse. "They heard," John nodded, heart pounding. "Let's hope they come fast." Outside, the Warden of Silence rose from the wreckage like a demon made of metal and wrath. Her cracked mask revealed a flicker of what might once have been a face. But rage had erased all softness from it. Sparks danced off her shoulders as she activated her second form. From her back, wings of energy burst out, blades humming with frequency distortion. They weren't for flight, they were for erasure. She launched toward the tower again, faster this time. Inside, John could feel the vibration growing in the floor. The walls trembled with each step she took. "She's coming," he said. "No," Arya whispered. "She's already here." The walls burst open, metal peeled like fruit, and the Warden stepped through. John fired, Arya threw a dagger of plasma. Luma screamed, and Ryan stood up. With glowing veins across his skin, his hands spread open. The stone he held floated above his head. The beacon responded to him, like he was the signal now. Then, boom. The ceiling shattered. A flash of white light consumed everything. When John opened his eyes, he wasn't in the tower anymore. He was floating, weightless, surrounded by stars. Around him were colossal beings made of light and sound, neither human nor alien. They pulsed in time with Luma's song. They looked at him, not with eyes, with understanding. A voice echoed, not aloud, but inside him. "You protected the echo. Bearers. You fed them. You bled for them. You are not their kind, but you are family. Speak, human." John opened his mouth, confused, dazed, half sure he'd died. "Help them," he said. "Help us." There was silence. Then, done. Back in the tower, time snapped back. The Warden was mid-strike when a beam of silver light cut through the roof, slamming into her like the fist of a god. She screamed, not in pain, but in denial. She knew what was happening. She had lost. Dozens of ships decloaked above Earth. Silent giants made of living metal and celestial flame. They weren't war machines, they were guardians, watchers, protectors. They descended not to destroy, but to lift. Lift Arya, lift the children, lift the last hope of a dying star. But the Warden wouldn't go quietly. Her broken body flared with unstable energy. "She's going to self-destruct," Arya said weakly. "She'll take the whole tower down with her." John didn't think. He ran, he grabbed her, he grabbed the kids, and he jumped. The tower exploded. Flames lit up the night sky. But John and the family didn't hit the ground. They floated, suspended mid-air by a golden field. One of the guardian ships hovered above, holding them in its light. A gentle voice hummed through the wind. "They are safe." Later, far from the burning tower, the family stood in a field of wildflowers. Stars above, Earth below. The children slept against John's side. Arya stood beside him, her arm wrapped in soft alien fabric, her eyes filled with tears, not of pain but peace. "You didn't have to stay," she whispered. "I know," he replied. "Why did you?" John looked at the stars. "Because when I saw her steal my tomatoes, I didn't see a thief, I saw a mother." Arya smiled. "Then you're more alien than I thought." He chuckled. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just human enough." A family not of blood but of fire and earth. The ground still smelled like smoke. Ash drifted from the hills like snow, soft and slow. In the distance, the tower was gone. Only a black scar remained where once it stood. But high above, the stars had returned to their proper places, shining without fear. The war was over. But something deeper had begun. John stood in the middle of his garden. The rows were half burnt, the soil torn where the van tires had once spun through. The corn was gone. The tomatoes trampled, but something had survived. 3 small green sprouts. Luma knelt beside one of them, her tiny hands gently brushing the dirt. "Is it dead?" she asked, her voice tired. John smiled. "Nope, not dead, just stubborn. Like you." The girl giggled and looked up at her mother. Arya stood silently under the oak tree, arms crossed, hair tied back, her eyes watching the sky as if expecting it to speak again. It didn't. And that was a good thing. A week had passed since the Guardian ships left. They didn't stay long. Just long enough to heal Arya's wounds, restore Luma's voice, and give Ryan a strange crystal disc, one that could open a doorway one day if they chose to leave. But they didn't leave. Not yet. Not while the garden still needed tending. Not while the human who gave them hope stood alone with a shotgun and a tired smile. That evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, John fixed the porch swing. He'd meant to do it for years. Now, with the kids laughing in the background and Arya silently trimming broken branches near the fence, it felt like the right time. She approached slowly, her steps quiet. He didn't turn, but he knew it was her. "You fixed the swing," she said. "Figured I should," he replied. "Someone needs a place to rest." She sat beside him. They swayed gently. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Arya whispered, "I've killed people. I've run from my past, I've lied. And yet, you call me family." John looked at her. "You protected your kids. You risked everything to keep them safe. You chose peace when you could have chosen war. That's not a criminal." He paused. "That's a mom." Her lip trembled. She looked away. But he caught the shimmer in her eyes. Night fell. Ryan sat on the roof watching stars. Luma curled up on a blanket, holding a handmade doll stitched from one of John's old flannels. Inside the house, the fire crackled. John poured tea, not from a kettle, he wasn't fancy like that, but from an old camping pot. Arya didn't seem to mind. She took a sip. "You think your world will ever accept us?" He shrugged. "Doesn't need to. You've already got a home here, that's enough for me." "And for the children?" He looked toward the window where they sat bathed in moonlight, smiling at nothing. They were born in the stars. "But I think they'll grow up human." Later, when the house had gone quiet and the crickets outside had begun their nightly song, Arya stood at the back door, holding the crystal disc. "If I activate this," she said, "a ship will come. In 2 minutes, we can leave. Never be hunted again." John walked over. "Do you want to leave?" She looked at him. "I don't know." "Well," he said, scratching his chin, "if you go, take some seeds with you. Might not be much, but it's food. And hope." She smiled softly. Then she placed the crystal on the table. "I think I'll stay, at least until the carrots grow back." John grinned. "Deal." Outside, dawn began to rise again. New light touched the burned soil. The garden would take time. The wounds, even longer. But roots were already growing, in the ground, in the home, and in the hearts of a family not made by blood, but by fire, and earth, and choice.